Mitch, as you head into the second half, what areas do you think need shored up the most?
Yeah, I think, again, when we are, I know I've said this quite a bit, but at the spot of the journey that we're at, all of them, we're just trying to be more consistent. I think that would be the area, the consistency in our approach and our transition defense and our communication and how we come out at halftime, how we finish quarters. I mean, we have shown potential and growth in a lot of areas, but we've also shown a lot to be wanting for more in terms of consistency.
On the flip side, what are you pleased with?
I think I'm very pleased with the competitive response and the willingness for everyone in that locker room to play the role that's been called upon. We've had a lot of guys in and out in terms of availability. We've had a lot of guys maybe played more minutes at times and less than others, and not one time have I ever felt any reflection of a bad teammate. Frustration's totally different. Like I've said before, I want guys to be frustrated. I want, 15 guys that want to play 48 minutes. That's a competitive spirit of why they've gotten to this level of basketball. That would be silly for me to then think that's a negative trait. But your teammate part is a non-negotiable, and I think that they've all get an A+ at that. So I've been very pleased with that. And then just the competitive response. I think we've bounced back or responded at times when we've been looking at some adversity or not playing well.
I remember Vic saying during his first season that he didn't want to wait 7 years to win a championship. How do you feel about that today after his third year?
I think he'd say the same thing if you asked him again.
Coach, Victor said that this season you had raised your ceiling a lot, but you need to raise your floor now. What do you think needs to be adjusted, for the second half of the season to do that and raise the floor?
Yeah, I'm sorry. Who said that?
Vic.
Oh, I think that's probably some individual and collective maturity. Speaks to some of the consistency I talked about. Speaks to when you are able to raise your ceiling. That probably means you are also getting more attention or more pointed schemes and plans of attack from the opposition. So that floor can carry you through people not being available. That floor can carry you through not shooting the ball well. That floor can carry you through a tough night where you think you might have got the wrong side of the whistle for a few calls. And that's what the floor and consistency and that whole world that kind of fits under that umbrella, I think, covers.
What do you know about De'Aaron now that you didn't know when you first got him?
It's a good question. There's quite a few things I'm trying, but I just want to make sure that I clarify this. It's just something I didn't know. It's not something that I didn't think or right. His level of engagement and participation at the age he's at with the experience he's in and the things that he's accomplished individually has, shock is a strong word, but has really, really surprised me. And that's from off season, that's from when he's not been healthy and been able to be on the floor with his teammates. That's been last year before we started being as competitive in the wins and loss column as we are now when Victor was out. Every step of the way, his level of engagement and participation has been something that's been very, very telling in terms of his desire to be here and wanting to continue to grow as an individual and push our team to grow collectively.
On the floor, how is he from the leadership standpoint?
I think he is one of those guys that, when the stakes are highest, you look at him and he exudes confidence because he's ready to go. And typically his play then follows suit on that. And I think that can give confidence to the others around him.
How have you felt like those three guards in that rotation, him and Dylan and Stefan, how, in your eyes, have they managed themselves as sort of that triumvirate in terms of balancing out their usage and instead of it being like a my turn, your turn type of thing?
Yeah, I think, we have an ecosystem and a structure that more than not doesn't dictate who is the initial or primary creator. And we want to take advantage of playing with pace, and that means the basketball can find many people, and sometimes it doesn't find none of the three people that you alluded to, and that's someone else. And we want those guys to run ahead and get the ball in potentially different spots than just in the backcourt where a traditional point guard may get the ball. And I think they've done a great job of embracing that, and they're all devastating in their own ways with the basketball, especially when you give them space or advantage and momentum. And we're going to continue to try to foster and produce that in a variety of ways.
Beyond the obvious, spacing that he provides, what do you miss? What does this team or this roster miss most with Devin off the floor?
Yeah, I said this, I think, after the OKC game. He's probably the one guy on our team that can pretty naturally jump back and forth from shooter or scorer. And I think depending on the lineup that we have on the floor at all times, he can jump back and forth from that role. And I think it's a role that is extremely valuable for a lot of reasons, those three handlers being one of them. And then also at times when you may be looking at a lineup that doesn't have those three different, or Luke and Victor. We have some pretty distinct characters that are going to dominate the personality of the game when they're in there, and to have a guy that can kind of be at the forefront but also fit with everybody is a unique skill set, and for him, he fits very nicely in that.
Is he up to doing 2-on-2 yet? Or
He's progressing and doing more and more, and hopefully, this is a big week to continue to ramp it up and see how he feels and responds and reacts, and continue to give him more, and hope to see him back here pretty soon.